My name is Joy Greenhow. I'm 35 years old, and this is my testimony. I was born and raised in Columbus, Georgia. I came from a good family. My mom actually was a teacher. My dad was a cop. So everything from the outside appeared very good. We appeared to have a very good family, but my parents started having problems when I was very young. When I was 4 years old, my mom started having panic attacks and anxiety attacks. And then when I was 5, she had a complete nervous breakdown and spent some time at the Bradley Center. I got shipped around from neighbor's house to grandparents' house to other people's houses. I can remember staying at my neighbor's house, and I can just remember the whole time that I was there wondering why I was staying with my neighbors and not my dad. Me and my dad didn't have a great relationship. He worked a lot. And then at 8, my parents got divorced. That was very, very hard for me. At 8, you really don't understand what's going on. I felt very unloved and very unwanted. And at 8 years old, I can remember saying to myself, I'm never gonna let anyone hurt me like that again. And so at 8, I began to build up wall after wall after wall after wall, and I became very emotionally detached from everyone. I didn't really tell anybody how I was thinking or what I was feeling, so I kind of just kept it all inside. And I wasn't a bad kid, but I was very angry. I was a very, very, very angry child. You know, after high school, you go to college. That's just kind of what you do. And I feel like that was kind of what was expected of me. One day, I was in class, and a girl that I knew invited me to a luncheon at what was then the Baptist Student Union. The next week, the same girl that invited me to the luncheon invited me to a Bible study. I didn't really feel wanted or loved by anything or anybody. So because of that, I didn't really talk much. I kind of just stayed to my own. And because of my childhood, I really didn't understand, and it didn't make sense in my brain why God would want a relationship with me. I didn't get that, even though I was raised in church. The campus minister there, Tony Gray, began to just really, really pour into me. He apparently saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And I began actually to get involved with ministry there. I started playing and singing on the worship team. I started doing other things. God began to take that shy and timidness away. I actually felt some belonging, because I felt like I kind of belonged to something. When I was 22, I started dating this guy who I actually met at the BSU. And for the first time in my life, a guy really was paying attention to me. I didn't realize it at the time, but I was so desperate to be loved. So we dated for a while, and then at 23, we got married. So life was good. I got married, and I was thinking, this is gonna be awesome. We're gonna do ministry. And literally 2 days after the honeymoon, I began to discover some things. Things very quickly started to fall apart. And within the first year of marriage, we were separated. I got extremely, extremely depressed. I wasn't eating. I wasn't really sleeping that well either. Everything just really became a fight, and it just magnified all of that anger. I then began to drink more than I should have. I got so depressed, I really just wanted to die. I was so miserable. Total despair, complete hopelessness. I walked downstairs to get a chord sheet off of the computer. I remember touching the mouse, and I looked up, and I looked at the screen, and right there on the desktop was some pictures of some pornographic images, which validated some suspicions that I'd had for a long time. I just hadn't had any proof. I'd never felt so worthless and degraded and disrespected in all of my life. I just remember standing there looking at those pictures thinking, why, after 9.5 years of marriage, why do you have to look at pictures instead of me to get satisfaction? And I knew after seeing those pictures that I had to get out, because I knew if I stayed in it, it was going to kill me. I confronted him the next day, and he didn't really have a problem with it. So I said, well, if you don't want to deal with it, then we're done. So the next week we went and signed the papers, and that was it. You know, my parents were divorced. I'm a product of divorce, and I just remember thinking to myself that I had done the very thing that I said I would never do. And I felt like I had completely broken God's heart. I felt like He hated me, that He was angry at me. My identity had really become divorce and shame and guilt and self-hatred and condemnation. And I woke up every morning feeling that way. But the awesome thing is that God is so redemptive. And you can imagine, you know, at this point I was pretty disgusted with men. I really hated them, and I thought to myself, I'm never going to date again. But I was at church one day, and a friend of mine said, hey, I know this guy that I think you should meet. She didn't want to take no for an answer. I just remember after meeting him thinking, this is a really, really nice guy, and he seemed pretty genuine. So I gave him my number, really thinking that he was not. Nothing was going to happen. And he actually called me the next day. We were very open and honest with each other. He was also divorced. He'd come from a similar situation. It became very apparent very quickly that God's hand was totally and completely on us, and that God wanted us to be together. So we started dating in January of last year, and he proposed to me on March the 28th, and then we got married on September the 28th. I've learned more about God's unconditional love than anything else in my life through my husband. I get the privilege of seeing God's heart through my husband. God's love is so big and so huge. Really, our human minds can't comprehend really how much He loves us. God has given me really what I believe wholeheartedly He intended for me to have from the very beginning in James. He's awesome. I love my husband. God has used many things to bring restoration to my life. Obviously, one of the greatest things He has used has been my husband, but He has also used Love Rev. I got involved with them because I was asked to help lead worship, and I just remember feeling the presence of God, and I found out very quickly why it's called Love Rev. It was a bunch of folks that knew how to love. It was a bunch of folks that didn't play church, but really exemplified what the church should be. I was a broken, hot mess at that time. The 7 steps are just really steps to freedom. Vulnerability was not really my strong suit, and so I was extremely reluctant to do it, but at the same time I was so miserable and I hated myself so much that I was just about willing to do anything. I sat down with Abby and Lauren one day and we went through it. I remember for the first time feeling peace and joy and really life. And it really was like night and day for me. And I can remember just not feeling depressed. I didn't feel condemned. I didn't feel anger. And I just remember feeling completely free. And I've just been learning so much about the kingdom of God, and that church isn't just a sermon, 3 songs, and then lunch. It's an actual living, vibrant relationship with God. In my hatred, in my resentment, in my bitterness, He loved me, and He never let go of me. And that's the only reason I'm here today. I find it ironic that my name is Joy, because bad decisions on top of Satan's mission, which is to kill and destroy us, almost did. Came pretty close, but with God there is always hope. For He has rescued us from the dominion of darkness and brought us into the kingdom of the Son He loves, in whom we have redemption, the forgiveness of sins. My life was pretty dark, but God has taken me literally out of darkness and brought me into light. And I love life. Life is good. It's fun. I laugh a lot now. I smile a lot, and I'm just blessed. And I have a ton to be thankful for. So, yay God, He's good. Yes, and my husband has the most epic mustache ever.